Once again we see the religion of peace exploiting the naive nature of the American public. The Muslim Somali-American officer, Mohammed Noor, who was heralded as a hero just a couple of years ago for being the first one of his kind to become a police officer, has managed to get his peace-loving self into a heap of trouble for abusing one woman, and killing the other one. Muslims always seem to have issues with women, don't they? The celebration was short-lived when Noor was accused of shooting and killing Justine Damone, who was an Australian yoga teacher and spiritual healer. Damone was shot and killed while wearing her pajamas and calmly speaking to another police officer who has been identified as Matthew Harity, after calling 911 to report a possible assault in an alley behind her home on July 15. The shooting death has caused outrage in both Australia and Minnesota, where the victim was a beloved teacher of meditation. It's also being reported that she was supposed to be married this coming August. Noor is no stranger to controversy. He has already been sued before in his short career with the police department because of a May 25, 2017, incident where he and two other officers came to a woman's home and took her to the hospital. The woman later alleged this act constituted false imprisonment, assault, and battery. According to the recently filed lawsuit, the officers claimed they had reason to believe the woman was suffering a mental breakdown, which the woman and her doctors have adamantly denied. The woman also stated that Noor grabbed her right wrist and upper arm, which led to her having severe pain which was caused by a previous shoulder injury as she was being arrested. Well, we all do know Muslims know how to abuse women well. Chilling new audio has emerged of the moments around the fatal U.S. police shooting of Australian spiritual healer and meditation coach Justine Damone in a Minneapolis alley. The officers are heard communicating with their dispatcher over the police radio, including calling for backup and their attempts to perform CPR on Ms. Damone. Shots fired. "We have one down," one of the officers says. Ms. Damone's death in the alley outside her Minneapolis home just before midnight on Saturday has devastated and outraged family, friends, and left the Minneapolis community upset about the latest police shooting in their city. Her partner, Don Damone, said he was being kept in the dark about the incident. "Sadly, her family and I have been provided with almost no additional information from law enforcement regarding what happened after police arrived," Don Damone told reporters outside their home in suburban Fulton on Monday local time. "We have lost the dearest of people and we are desperate for information." He said Ms. Damone's death was a loss to everyone who knew her. "Our hearts are broken and we are utterly devastated by the loss of Justine," he said. "It is difficult to fathom how to go forward without her in my life." Officer Mohammed Noor, who joined the Minneapolis Police Department a little over 2 years ago, has been identified as the policeman who fired multiple shots at Sydney raised Ms. Damone from the passenger seat of his vehicle. The police audio was posted on the Minnesota Police Clips website. Ms. Damone, 40, called police after hearing a possible sexual assault taking place in an alley behind her Minneapolis home in what has been described as the safe, middle-class neighborhood of Fulton. The police audio begins with the description of a female screaming behind the building, believed to be what Ms. Damone told the dispatcher in her initial 911 call. Ms. Damone, dressed in her pajamas, reportedly approached the driver's side window of police car when it arrived in the alley, and Officer Noor shot across his partner at Ms. Damone more than once from the passenger seat. The Minnesota Department of Public Safety Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, described as a fact finder independent of Minneapolis police, is investigating the shooting and confirmed Ms. Damone was not carrying a weapon. Ms. Damone may have been holding a mobile phone, which was reportedly found near her body. BCA crime scene personnel located no weapons at the scene, BCA said in a statement on Monday. The BCA continues to examine evidence to determine the facts that led to the shooting incident. The Hennepin County Medical Examiner's Office has conducted an autopsy on Ms. Damone, but the results have not been released. Ms. Damone, raised on Sydney's northern beaches and described as having peace flowing through her, moved to the U.S. after meeting and falling in love with Mr. Damone, who lived in Minneapolis. Formerly Justine Rostzike, Ms. Damone took her fiancé's surname before next month's planned wedding. The BCA confirmed Officer Noor and his partner's body cameras were not turned on and their police car dashboard camera did not capture the incident. Minneapolis Mayor Betsy Hodges told reporters she has a lot of questions why the body cameras were not on. Lieutenant Bob Kroll, president of the Minneapolis Police Federation representing officers, told UP the federation has decided to reserve all comment until case completion in the matter. Teresa Nelson, interim executive director of the American Civil Liberties Union of Minnesota, said the officers violated police policy by not turning on their body cameras. This violation of policy thwarted the public's right to know what happened to Ms. Damone and why the police killed her, Ms. Nelson said. The two officers broke the policy not only when they didn't activate the body cameras before the incident, but also when they failed to do so after the use of force. Officer Noor was reportedly the first Somali-American officer at Minneapolis' 5th Precinct. The Minneapolis Star-Tribune reported Officer Noor had been sued once in his short career when he and two other officers took a woman, who claimed false imprisonment, assault and battery, to hospital for treatment for a mental health crisis. Ms. Damone's death has become a major national story in the U.S. and has shone new light on police shootings in America. The Washington Post reported Ms. Damone is one of at least 524 people fatally shot by police in the U.S. this year and the fifth in Minnesota. The Minneapolis-St. Paul area is still reeling from the acquittal last month of a police officer who shot dead a man, Philando Castile, during a traffic stop while Castile's girlfriend live-streamed the horrifying incident. Violent protests also flared after two officers fatally shot 24-year-old Yamar Clark in 2015 and were not charged. Once again we see Americans being stupid. They just don't understand that Muslims have no place in our society, let alone in a position of authority where they even carry a gun. Maybe someday we will wise up. I for one will just sit here and wait to see all those Australians rioting and looting over this. Please share if you want justice for Justine Damone.